Justin, can you just talk about day one and what you were hoping for and what you saw?
Well, the intensity was great, which it needs to be on day one. If you had a low intensity day one, you got real problems. But they were eager to get out here. A lot of new faces. Yeah, ton of work to do.
You got 50 newcomers.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you integrate those folks into?
Well, it starts way back in January with a number of them, and then there's another crew that came in summer, and you get those guys up to speed during strength and conditioning, and we can also meet with them during those times, so they have an idea, of offense and defense and special teams of what we're doing. So it's not like you're starting from scratch. I mean, it is the first practice, but a lot of the defense, offense, and special teams schematically are, it's in, and now we got to find out who we are based on, the competition at every position and lean on those strengths. But I thought overall the guys did a good job, which you'd hope they would day one.
How challenging is it just incorporating that many new guys?
I think it's great. I mean, we're excited to have all these guys. I mean, the number of guys out there that are, again, a bunch of them played in spring. So continuing to develop chemistry with the group. I think that's one of the keys in this era of college football is how quickly you can get them integrated and how quickly you can create chemistry on and off the field.
Did your job change at all with all these newcomers? As far as figuring out a pecking order quicker or anything?
Well, I mean, 3 years, 4 years. So everybody's our team learn the system as quick and as efficiently as possible, and to let the competition sort out the depth chart. So we're eager to do that.
Sorry to interrupt. This is probably a little bit above your pay grade, but not much. Obviously, I'm sure you're aware of what's going on with the conference, but you don't have direct influence. I'm sure your players are aware of it too. How do you guys navigate that?
Well, that falls under the category of something that certainly matters, but not something we have control over. Those are our two criteria for what we focus on. What matters, what do we have control over? Where those two things overlap, that's where we focus. And I'm not denying the significance. It's significant in a major way. However, we don't have any control over that. Our job right now is to come out here and become the best football team we can possibly be. So that's what we're spending time.
Sam came out of spring as your number one quarterback. You brought in a 4-year guy in Ben Finley. How would you characterize what the competition will be like at that position?
Well, I think it's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be competitive everywhere. There's guys that did a great job in spring. Sam came a long way in spring, but everybody out here is competing. I mean, that's the nature of our game. That's what you want. You want to recruit and develop as much talent as you possibly can, and create competition within the position groups. If there's not competition, I don't know that you get the best out of anybody. So.
What's the plan for Brett Johnson during fall camp?
Yeah, Matt.
What kind of impact?
Yeah, I mean, he was out there practicing today. You probably saw him. He's done a good job. We'll be working with the strength and conditioning and the trainers, the sports med staff, to make sure that he's got the right amount of work daily. And we want to get Brett up to speed. He's not a guy that's going to take it easy, so to speak, and just try and get to the game. But we need to be smart with how we work with him through this month.
What kind of impact can he have when he comes?
Brett, when healthy, as you remember a couple years ago now, is a very, very good player. I mean, he's an excellent football player. He changes things up front, and so we're looking forward to him having a great camp and playing this season.
What position group do you think you have the most confidence in right now?
Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, it's day one. I mean, there's a couple groups that have more returning experience, but again, there's 50 new players who have been added to the roster who they all want to play too. So I don't know that there's any one group where there's a set pecking order. I mean, you could say, Cindric's been here a long time, and we expect Sendo to be a mainstay for us on the O-line. But I think the DB room's certainly more competitive. The receiver room, even over summer, has become a lot more competitive. But you'd hope to say that about every position, but those are two that stick out.
What's the status of the two transfer running backs, Williams Thomas and Cardwell?
Byron Cardwell, unfortunately, is going to be out for the season. He Colin Gamble and Sam Ross will be out for the season. Unfortunately, they suffered injuries, and we'll be working with them in rehab and strength and conditioning to get them back as fast as possible, but they'll miss this year. As far as Justin, it's really, the trainers are going to let us know when he's available. He's not available today, and we're hoping he becomes available to practice as soon as possible because he's missed a lot of time.
So some of the other new young running backs are going to be in the mix for now?
Yep.
How much do you want to try to buffet what you put on Ott so he's not like the whole thing?
Well, yeah, it takes more than one player to have a great offense. Obviously, Jaden's a talented player, and he's going to get his touches. You need more than one running back to be able to throw out there. So we're looking forward to some of those other guys and what they'll do in camp to sort that depth chart out.
Barrett Miller's a guy who played a lot at Stanford, started I think 30-something games. How much can he help you?
Well, I think Barrett's going to help us. Again, he was dealing with something this off season physically, but he was out here today, and it'll take him a little while to kind of get up to full speed. But he worked really hard throughout the summer, and we're excited to have him here.
You can play either guard spot.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking. Yep.
What do you expect from Jaden Ott this year?
Expect Jaden to have a great year. He had a really good start to his career. He's a talented young man. He's, physically has developed his body even more, and I think, he's a guy that when he has the ball, as you all saw, he can make some things happen. And whether you hand it to him, throw it to him, but he's a guy that people got to account for. So I'd expect him to take the next step in his development.
Justin, 3 years in a row, you haven't gotten over 500. What's the level of eagerness to turn things around?
Well, every year, the expectations we have in our own building are extremely high, and it's no different this year. We know that the margins in our conference, and they've shown to be extremely thin. So everything that we do, from walkthroughs to meetings to practice, to the development of the players, to the players' execution on the field, it all matters because it can come down to, as we've seen, a single play. And, it's the body of work that leads up to that, the process that leads up to that, where you now begin to make those, the 1, 2, 3 plays in that game that can turn the tide. And that's where we need to make improvement. It's a matter of fact. So we expect to be a good football team, but in order to be that team that we're all looking for, we got a lot of work to do.
To celebrate 100 years at the stadium, do you have a favorite memory of in the stadium for yourself?
That's hard to pick one. Yeah, it's hard to pick
You have
one.
a couple that, there's got to be something that stands out.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got some great memories in the stadium. Some from when I was here way back when, and some in the past 6 years. But I don't know. I love hearing that cannon go off.
Anybody else, guys?